There's one person online, so we will wait. How is all one of you doing this evening? I tried to post this in advance. Oh, this is going to... There we go. Hopefully whoever's online, I would like to do a sound check and a mic check, and I guess the video's okay. And I guess I'll wait for 4 or 5 minutes. And if nobody comes on and nobody says anything, I'll just turn this off and go to bed. And if you're just starting to watch this, just fast forward to like the 5-minute mark. And hopefully some people will be on, and we can... just waiting for some people to get on here. It's weird. We didn't used to have to do that, but I guess it's because we were consistently going live at a consistent time, and now it's just random acts of randomness. And nobody wants to stay on, I guess, because I'm just not talking. So people sign on and sign off and do all that good stuff. How's everybody doing this evening? Good? Great. Well, I'm flying solo tonight, y'all, because the Texas mom and the Texas boys... Hey, Diane Brody, how you doing? From SoCal. How's SoCal? Texas mom and the Texas boys, they went on a trip that I was supposed to be going on to some really good friends of ours. And my back kind of had me out of commission, so still has me out of commission a little bit. And I have some chronic back challenges that act up, unfortunately, a lot. And Texas mom wants me to see a specialist, but not a psychiatrist, but she wants me to see a back specialist. And I just tell her it's all in my head. But yeah, so they're trotting the globe without Texas dad there to defend them. I always feel weird. I don't think me and Texas mom have been married now for 22 years. This year it'll be 22 years. Cassie Davis, good evening. And I don't think we've ever been apart this long. I've never, and they've only been gone since Thursday. And yeah, and they're going to be making some rounds, visiting friends and family. And I was supposed to be there. We would have been coming back today, though, so that I could go back to work. But she kind of wanted to extend the trip to visit some family she hasn't seen in a very long time that are getting older and whatnot. So it was a good opportunity, so I said go for it. And Texas Millennial. So they're going to be gone for a while. So it's just me hanging out. So I figured I would try to schedule a live and give enough people advance warnings to anybody that wanted to come on. I had a couple people post some questions online. I didn't get to check the fake book, but Instagram, somebody asked me a question, and I asked them if they'd be available for the live. They had some questions about planting fruit trees and whatnot. And I told them we could talk about it on the live stream. So that's what I'm talking about tonight. I'm talking about food 401k, investing, Dirtcoin. I'm really hoping for those of you that follow the channel, we've been attempting to buy this piece of land for an incredibly long period of time now, a couple, 2-3 months or so. And I've been waiting for this survey to get done so that we can finalize the deed. And I talked to the surveyor last week. No, I talked to the surveyor 2 weeks ago. And they had 3 corners pinned, and they were working out this 4th corner. There's definitely some stuff going on with the property, because it's definitely the deed is clouded somehow because it's taken a while here. But apparently, oh, and I just got a text back about the sheep. So if you're interested in the sheep, they're 300 a piece. So we have 3, so that'd be 900 for the sheep. But yeah, I lost somehow our ram. I don't know. He just kind of, well, everybody left, and thankfully, God's good because everybody left for the trip, and they left. I'm getting all my days mixed up now. Yeah, they left Thursday morning, and I came, and I was like in really bad shape Thursday morning, and I'm like, there's no way I can make a 12-hour drive with my back like this and everything, and I was really. They are pregnant hair sheep Dorper Barbados St. Croix mix, and they are pregnant. So it's 3 pregnant sheep for 900. It's a great deal. But so they left Thursday morning, and that sometime during the day, and I was in really bad shape, so I wasn't outside that much. But I was outside a couple times, and everything was cool, and I checked on all the critters. And towards the evening, I went out, I think, to check the mail, and my neighbor had stopped, and he said, "Hey, is your pony out?" And I was like, "I don't think so." I walked around, I'm like, yeah, apparently he is. So he was in his usual spot, and thankfully, our one neighbor, he's a very talented roper. He actually ropes in rodeo and is like nationally recognized or whatever. He's on the chart or whatever as far as like a national roper, and it was pretty cool. I got to watch him rope our pony, which was good because there was no way we were gonna catch him because Buddy is like Gunner, the pony whisperer, and Buddy is the only one that can like walk up to Gunner and like catch him and bring him home. So that happened, and the sheep got out when the pony got out, and our ram just kind of stayed in the pen, and he was sitting there eating, and he looked totally cool and whatever. And somehow between Thursday night and Friday afternoon, he died, and yeah, and then today I was out this morning, and there was all 4 sheep, and they were there, and now I forget when I noticed it, but I was running back and forth. I ran to the ranch, got some more feed, and I was cleaning everybody's waters and filling up the waters. And the sheep and the pony, because they hang out, they came up to me, and I'm like, there's only 3 sheep. And I looked, and I walked the pen, and there's no sign of the 4th sheep. And something would have had to have got her like during the day. And I was out there most of the day today. I'm feeling a lot better today. So I was out there most of the day today doing farm chores because there's no Texas boys here to do farm chores. So that was a lot of fun. And we have lots of different, we have 10 or so broody Muscovy ducks that are all on nests. So that's kind of neat. And so I just wanted to make sure that all of them had good food and water because they're tending eggs. Each Muscovy is sitting on over 10 eggs. And then our one Muscovy's in the back large chicken coop with a huge batch of chicks because we had a bunch of chicks hatch in the incubator, and Texas mom had a very good idea of like, let's put them with the broody Muscovy mom, and she took to them. So we have a Muscovy raising about almost 20 chicks or something out there, and we have a bunch of Muscovies that are going to hatch. And so yeah, another sheep is lost. So I figured, well, might as well sell them while I still have them. I don't know. So, yeah, it's bizarre. You know, we've done, the sheep get out all the time. They like to lean against and we have a hog panel and whatnot. They just like to lean on the fence, and they lean on the fence until it breaks, and then they get out. And they really like a couple of my prized mulberry trees that are younger. I have a Miss Kim, which is literally my favorite. and they thoroughly trashed that. I think it's because they know it's my favorite. And I have two world's best that got eradicated by the snowpocalypse, and it started to come back. And every time it starts to come back, they just shred it. Every time they get out, they like vigilantly attack all three of these mulberry trees. So that's the other reason why I kind of want to. If the sheep wouldn't be so hard on the trees, which once the trees are more mature, they're still going to low browse, which is kind of annoying, especially when the trees are fruiting. And mulberries do make good animal fodder, and the sheep just destroy them. And I really like being able to prune the trees. I prune the trees and I throw all the prunings to the sheep, and they just eviscerate it, and it's great. It's a great cycle. But I don't know. The sheep are back on the sales block, so that's the case with that. If you've ordered any, for anybody that's ordered tea or aprons or whatever, you're gonna have to wait till the crew gets back, because they do all that good stuff, most of it. And we had some challenges with some sweet potato slip orders. I think it was just too hot in the mail, and for whatever reason, the purple sweet potato slips are much more sensitive to the heat. Once they're cut, they're not. They do great in the ground, but once they're cut, the purple sweet potato slips are much more sensitive. So we stopped selling them, and I got to fill some more. I got to replace a couple orders. I was going to refund people, but they wanted to replace them. So sheep are easier than goats. Sheep are much easier than goats. If you ever have goats, you understand why God calls lost people goats. Sheep are much easier than goats, and they're good. It's just I have a lot of fruit trees, and we have enough pasture here at the house where we could rotate them, but I don't have enough fenced pasture without a bunch of fruit trees on it where I could rotate them. And the back food forest is getting tons of foul pressure from the Muscovies and the chickens, and I can't put the sheep back there. They would just destroy all the really small trees. They'd probably just trample them more than anything. But so yeah, sheep are much easier than goats, and they're not as stupid as goats, but it's not a panacea, y'all. It's not a panacea. And the sheep aren't really testing the fence. They're just rubbing on it. And they rub on it until and my kids are a bunch of hillbillies, and they just refuse to like wire tie the fence, so they zip tie it, and you don't have to lean on something very long until the zip ties snap. So I can talk about them. They're not here to defend themselves. So we put the pony back in, put the sheep back in. I wired up the fence on the corner, because the fence is supposed to be all wired by now, but it's still not. So I think I found the final. Well, probably not. There's still probably sections that are only zip tied, but I digress. What's up? Just wondering, would you consider yourself a prepper? Well, I think the premise of homesteading and self-sufficiency is with the mindfulness of preparedness. So from that standpoint, I would consider myself a prepper, I guess. I'm not a. I like everything that preppers like, and I have lots of stuff. So, would I consider myself a prepper? I think wisdom says that you should prepare, especially after what we've gotten to experience with delicate supply chains and all the man-made shenanigans and the ephemeralness of the quote-unquote supply chain. But someday, I wish I would have prepped and stocked up on some OSB. That would have been awesome. But I didn't do that. I don't think any prepper was ready for that. Authorized Mike says, observe the ant, thou sluggard. That's a good one. It's a good one, Mike. Lone Star's, yeah, Lone Star's got sheep. Lone Star, Jonathan, did you ever have? You've never had goats, though, right? But yeah, sheep. I would say sheep are way easier than goats. Um, Sheep will definitely, our sheep are trained pretty well to a bucket. They'll come to you, and they're pretty easy to get back in the fence. Um, Country Homestead Preacher, good evening. Exactly. The term prepper is a commercialized term of what grandma just called having a well stocked pantry. Country Homestead Preacher has a small herd great for meat. That's what our thoughts and motives were for getting the sheep, was just to have, and if we could get the sheep to stay in, we have an enormous amount of pasture over at the ranch, and our neighbors on the same street have sheep behind four lines of barbed wire. I don't think our sheep would stay behind four lines of barbed wire. If they would, I would put them over there. We have 17 acres. We cross fenced it, and we've been keeping the longhorn in the back of the pond, and the field is looking awesome. And I posted a picture on Instagram. We have our chicken tractor over there, and yeah, our pasture is looking great. Hello from Detroit. All right. Well, good evening, Detroit, or Detroit, depending on kind of emphasis you want to put on the syllable. Detroit or Detroit. How do folks in Detroit say Detroit? They probably say Detroit instead of Detroit. Wonder who says Detroit besides me. And maybe I just said it to be different. So, yeah, so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about food 401k. That's why I call it, with the prepper question, that's why I call my food forest my food 401k, because that is my investment in our food security and in our food future. And rather than Detroit, Texas, rather than oh, so you guys do have yours in barbed wire. Yeah, I would like to try it. The way they're disappearing right now, and I know they didn't get out. I'm not exactly sure. Detroit, Michigan. I had a feeling, Alice, that you weren't in Detroit, Texas. You're in the Rust Belt. You're up there in Detroit, Michigan. You're at where they make the Ford Motor Company, where they make the Mustang. I think still maybe they're not making that in China. I don't think they're making that in China. Actually I know somebody that works on the Mustang line, and I know it's in Detroit, Michigan. Um, Very good friend of mine. Yeah, so wanted to talk about the food 401k, Dirtcoin, because everybody always wants to know what to invest in, and you have all these different channels that talk about investing, and everybody talks about Bitcoin. Beth Mitchell, East Texas. Well, I'm in East Texas too, so it's good to howdy neighbor. And Lone Star Living is in East Texas as well, so we're all neighbors, and it's Texas. It's a big state. Um, yeah, people always want to talk about should you put your money, since the stock market's fake and it's synthetic and everything. And I believe that that's where you should put your money, is in infrastructure, and certainly in land. And then that's becoming more and more difficult just because of the balkanization of our society. And when we moved 7 years ago, I had mentioned that I thought our country was going to balkanize, and it's happening. And so it's driving the price of land up. And then you have equity firms like BlackRock and these other different venture capitalist companies, and Dogecoin. Dogecoin's terrible. Dogecoin's a setup. Don't do it. Okay, you're located in Athens. I know where Athens is. We have good friends in Atlanta, Texas. And I think it's funny that there's Athens, Georgia, and Atlanta, Georgia, and then there's Athens, Texas, and Atlanta, Texas. You probably, Mike, you've gotten a ticket. You've gotten tickets all over East Texas. Mike just doesn't know when to say when it comes to speeding. When it comes to speeding, Mike, sorry. I don't want to imply anything there. Mike has a lead foot. And he just hasn't learned his lesson to not speed. Because when the authority puts up a arbitrary number on a sign, you must obey. You must comply. Yeah, I was trying to rent a dumpster in Atlanta, and Athens wouldn't service Atlanta. And I had to get my dumpster from Longview to go to Atlanta when I called Athens, and the dumpster joint in Athens wouldn't service Atlanta. I thought that was bizarre. But welcome to Texas. But that's just not Texas, so. You got rid of some ducks? What kind of ducks did you get rid of, Jonathan? We're gonna have Muscovies popping out our ears. If half of these eggs hatch, all these broodies, yeah, it's at least 10 broodies. And I haven't seen any broody chickens back there, which is interesting. And I haven't been picking up any chicken eggs, which is interesting too. But there's tons of Muscovy eggs back there. And they're all in the back. I've been doing a lot of propagating the trees. And I've been making lots of mulberry trees and making some fig trees and some trades, some special orders, different people that have been wanting certain trees. I've been working on that. Yeah, well, we've been selling. Well, now we're not, just because all the ducks went broody. But we were selling Muscovy hatching eggs on Craigslist. But we didn't get any takers this year. Last year it was jamming, but nobody wanted Muscovy hatching eggs this year. Khakis, pecans, Swedish blue, pecan mixes. Whoa! One broody duck hatched 21. Wow, good mama too, huh? Yeah, so 30 ducks is way too much, yeah. Yeah, we will ship eggs, and we'll definitely ship eggs to Athens. I'll let you know if you want to send us an email. Send us an email. Not only that, but we're going to be. Um, James was James was hired to make a bed set for the friends of ours in Atlanta, so I'm sure we're going to be heading up there soon. And that's the Taylor's Tiny Farmhouse. So for any of y'all that follow the channel, we helped raise some money for them when their house burnt down, and their house is almost done, y'all. And we're going to definitely do an update video on that once it's all done. I had went up there midway once it was framed up and took a bunch of GoPro footage, and I guess it got lost or disappeared or something because I wanted to insert it in. When are we going to do swans? Like a black swan event? No. I guess the footage disappeared or something. So, man, I'm just like I'm really feeling kind of like low energy tonight. I don't know if y'all can tell. I was pretty ramped up and amped up, and then yeah, something just sucked out all my energy. It was weird, and I had all this. I was contemplating what I wanted to talk about, and I kind of I'm blowing it. I'm kind of low energy, blowing it. Low energy, Jeb. Low energy. He's low energy. Ask his wife. He's low energy. Sorry there, Donald. The Donald. So rapid fire your questions. Texas Mom is traveling with the crew and they're visiting friends and family, and they might be visiting another YouTuber on their way home. So that would be kind of neat. And I'm really disappointed that I didn't get to go because we were visiting our friends that I haven't seen in forever. Uh, and yeah, it was a bummer. But stuff happens. And if I had went, our pony and our sheep would have been wandering around the country hood here, and that would have been interesting because they would have been wandering around for a long time. David the Good. It's good having you on, David. We love my kids love. I love David the Good's channel. If you've never checked out David the Good, he's hilarious and he's just got a wealth of information um, when it comes to growing stuff and green thumb stuff. But definitely check him out if you like growing stuff. We got turned on to David the Good from Justin Rhodes and the Great American Farm Tour. And that's when we started following David's channel, and it's been great. And even my little ones like to watch it. So, and it's great family content. So, check out David the Good. Great content. And I'm gonna make that like bathtub worm bin. That was pretty cool. I think I'm gonna do that. And I know my wife will love it. I know that if I took an old crusty bathtub and put it in our yard, she gets on me, y'all, for doing the cardboard lasagna around the bottom of the trees, and she doesn't like it. Doesn't look nice. So, but we have to we have to get along together. So no cardboard lasagna around most of the trees, because I have access to lots of cardboard, and our yard would be a gigantic patchwork quilt of cardboard. But it's not because of my wife. My wife is very genteel, y'all. She's very sophisticated. What are your must-have fertilizers for fruit trees? Now, I was listening to Orchard People, I think it was yesterday, and they were talking about foliar sprays, and the Dirt Doctor, who's out of Dallas, Howard Garrett, is really good. He talks a lot about different kind of foliar sprays. So you got your apple cider vinegar and your hydrogen peroxide and your orange oil and your molasses and your coffee, your old coffee grounds and all that good stuff, which I think that's a great not just a foliar spray, but a good for your drip line to spray around your tree. And the one that Orchard People was talking about, which I thought was really cool, was like yogurt. And you dilute the yogurt. It's a very, and that bacteria will that good bacteria will kill a lot of the bad bacteria that causes like curly leaf and different things like that. And Garrett juice is really good for aphids. I bought home multiple old hot tubs to use for water storage in ponds. My wife says, "Hey, do you think you could actually bring home one we could soak in for a change?" Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm real big on I wouldn't call it hoarding. You probably couldn't call it prepping, but I don't want to waste stuff, so I like to keep stuff until I need it. Okay, and she doesn't like that. She likes to throw stuff out, and she says if we need it, we'll buy it again. Yeah, I upcycle, and my upcycling makes Texas Mom upchuck. So there you go. Antonia, speaking of one of our friends getting visited in the Texas Boys road trip, um, I think Texas Mom might be visiting Miss Antonia. I don't know if you know that yet or not, Miss Antonia. But if you don't, I just let the cat out of the bag. But that's the plan. But Lord willing, you know how that goes when you got all those kids in a minivan and whatnot. So yeah, so I don't know. I'm like, who's gonna cook me dinner? This is weird having to. Do you want? Hey, I will tell you. You may tell you my go-to meal, and I could literally, and I am the kind of guy that I could literally eat the same thing every night. But uh, is it called Londonbergs, right? The long grain wild rice, Londonbergs long grain wild rice. I take a bag of that, and I take 1 or 2 pounds of grass-fed Longhorn, and I just put it all in a pot with some Bragg's fermented aminos, and I could eat that. That is like dessert. That's like dessert for me, and it's so good. And we eat a lot of jasmine rice, and it gets real mushy and stuff. And I eat it because you know you can't have your pudding if you don't eat your meat. No, but I eat it. But it's like porridge. It's like gruel. It's like gruel. I'm not into it. I eat it because it's there. But I would much rather. Um, hey, I haven't had any bananas in a very long time. I was fruitarian. I was fruitarian for well over a year, and I really enjoyed a fruitarian diet, and I had a lot of success on a fruitarian diet. I wouldn't recommend like exclusively fruitarian. You start to lose different kind of nutrients in the bee, in the bovine realm when it comes, unless you want to supplement all that stuff. Um, you're feeding. Look, with all these great friends of mine, they better be. If there's any room in the van, better be like sending home like awesome food with my wife for me. I mean, have mercy on me. Okay. Yes, beef is testosterone fuel. Me love me some Longhorn beef. So yeah, so they're on the road trip, and I'm I'm eating Lundenberg's long grain and wild rice every night with grass fed beef, and I've been making chai pudding, y'all. So you just take chai seeds, right? And you take your favorite milk, whether it's A2 raw milk, like I still crave. I loved it before we went non-dairy. I loved the A2 milk, and I loved our cow. So now I do the next best nut alternative, and you just you take your milk and I put some cacao powder in it and a bunch of chai, and if you blend it up, and then you let it. Oh, I might even have some. Hold on a second. So it's just my lighting is like it's like then you just blend it up and let it sit, and it sets up, and it turns into pudding. And I just put a little bit of maple syrup in there, put a little cacao powder and chai, and I think this is cashew milk. There you go. Super healthy, awesome kind of dessert action. So probably what I'll be eating. I don't eat during the day. Um, well, that's not true. I juice during the day, so I do some. My standard juice is apple, cucumber, celery, ginger, and carrots. So I'll usually drink 1 or 2 juices a day. That's my whole meal during the day. Then I eat a large dinner that has an enormous amount of protein in it. I'm usually eating a lot of protein. I'm eating a couple. Oh, Texas mom just text me. Huh. Um, you all the hot pocket. Yeah, so I juice during the day, and I really enjoy juicing, y'all. And if you don't like, especially if you don't like your veggies, juice any veggies that you don't like, and throw one fruit in there, and then you'll get your veggies. I take a green powder too. That's Dr. Christopher's formula, which is Dr. Schul's. If you've ever heard of Dr. Schul's. I don't buy the Dr. Schul's green powder because that stuff is crazy expensive. I get our organic alternative from a family in Idaho. Um, forget the name of the website right now, but I order 2 bags and it lasts me a year. And so I drink that every morning. I definitely don't eat enough veggies. I know that's my downfall. I'm not a veggie guy. Um, Texas Mom and the rest of the crew are really good at eating their veggies. I'm terrible. I've never been good. I've been a big fruit guy, just not a real big veggie guy. So I do supplement my veggies and, and so yeah. So I'll probably be eating grass-fed beef and Lundenberg's, long grain wild rice, and chai pudding. That's probably what I'm going to eat for the rest of the week, y'all. It's very realistic. It's quick. It's not that quick. You know, the rice takes about 40 minutes. I'm not an Instapot dude. I couldn't even tell you how to turn it on or turn it off. So I'm not messing with all that technology. It's advanced technology, y'all. I mean, that's like NASA. I bet you it's the same technology that we went to the moon in. All right. And that's if you believe we ever landed there. So there you go. I don't want to get too conspiratorial on you, but I know we faked the pictures, but we may have faked the landing. So there you go. They took an Instapot to the moon. It was like Apollo 13 or something. That's if you believe in the moon. It's really just the hubcap on an intergalactic ghetto lowrider. No, just joking. I don't know. No, I think the moon's real. At least I want you to think that I think the moon's real. But okay. What are you looking on Craigslist for? Open for I don't know. I hate hot pockets. I did used to eat a lot of hot pockets. I used to be a big muscle head, and I weighed about 193, and I was a big, huge muscle head, and I used to have to eat just total garbage just to keep weight on, because I was a hard gainer. When I graduated high school, I weighed 135, and I was that kid, that little scrawny weenie kid, and that's probably why I'm all backed. The moon is controlled by big science. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The moon could just be like a Project Bluebeam projection onto outer space that's covering up the Death Star or something. No, I'm just joking. Not really, but anyway. Okay. So, yeah, so all my friends should tell me about all the great stuff. So we were talking about fertilizers for fruit trees. Epsom salts is great. We talked a little bit about foliar sprays. Epsom salts is great. Microlife is another. That's a local guy from Houston that developed that Microlife. That's really good. I used Microlife, um, but a lot of I do I companion plant comfrey and I do a chop and drop. I companion plant a lot of my trees with comfrey and then I just do a chop and drop. And that's a weed and feed and a nutrient builder for the soil. We use lots of mixed tree trimmings, so we do lots of mulching. I think that's where yep, yep, lots of yeah, and then in the back, where we have like 50 Muscovies. No, we probably have about 30 Muscovies and we have about 50 chickens. They're getting all kinds of organic fertilizer perpetually. And then I have drips on. And the neat thing about running drips with established fruit trees with chickens and ducks is that will become the bird's water source. So, like the ducks will go after the water to fill their gullet with gravel so that they can digest, and they'll aerate the bottom of the tree. And then the same thing with the chickens. The chickens love scratching around the base of the trees. So I really like. I bought enough drip hose because I put a 1 gallon drip on all of my trees. And where I kept planting and doing more and more and more, I just kept daisy chaining it together. And that eventually doesn't work. So I had this grand plan of redoing all my drip irrigation, but we've been getting enough rain where I haven't had to do that, and so I obviously I haven't done it because necessity is the mother of getting stuff done. I guess I just haven't had to do it because nothing has started to die, and it's really interesting. I had a bunch of trees that looked like they survived the snow apocalypse, and they started to bounce back, and then it was well after my giant mulberry. So I had a giant mulberry tree, and it looked like it survived. It got hurt real bad by the frost, real bad, which is unusual for mulberry. But why a lot of my trees got hurt real bad is because they were starting to flush out. So they were waking up when we got hit. If they were still dormant, I don't think it would have done nowhere near the damage. But they were waking up and flushing out as they got hit. So like the world's best mulberry got annihilated, but they came back, and this mulberry looked like it was coming back, and it even started coming out of the branches, but it did come back from the base. And then my Valdosta, which is from Valdosta, Georgia, my Valdosta mulberry has come back from the base. Thankfully, it's not grafted. That's the only disadvantage of grafted trees. Um, if they come back from the rootstock, you don't know what you got. Like I had a Pakistani from Womack Nursery down here, and it was a grafted tree, and I don't know what knocked that out, but it died back to below the graft. So now I just have a good rootstock out there. And I was practicing my grafting today. I have a Spain Noir mulberry. It's a newer one that I added, and so I was pruning it a little bit. So I started doing some cleft grafting on. That was the other thing that the sheep did. I've been practicing grafting now for about 3 years. And before, what would happen is one of our Pyrenees, I have no idea why, but they would see a graft and they would randomly just decide to rip it off the tree. They would just be like, and they would never ever touch any of the trees. But if I grafted it, they would rip my graft off. So I've had some success grafting. Um, and then I finally had on this front, I had this mulberry tree out front that was supposed to be, I bought it as a white mulberry and it's not. And it's a smaller fruit and it's a decent taste, but I've been grafting to it. Um, and I finally got a Pakistani to graft, and it was 1 year old, and it had even put on fruit, and it was the lowest branch. So I'm like, this is perfect, man. If this thing goes up, and I can, and the sheep got that one and ripped it off. And I had 6 varieties grafted onto that tree, and several of them took, and the sheep effectively ripped all of them off. And for anybody that grafts, that is so brutal. There's nothing worse, which is another reason why I kind of want the sheep gone. I like the idea. I love the sheep. They're kind. You can pet them. They're trained to a bucket. They're sweet. But if you're a fruit tree guy, it's just me versus them. And sometimes I would just like to go sheep hunting or something. And it takes so much sometimes to get a graft to take, and you kind of got to baby it, and then it's in this kind of ephemeral state when it's halfway. Yeah, the goats. Yeah, well, we had goats, and it was when I first planted our trees, and our buck Moses escaped, and he eviscerated several of our trees, and I was able to like patch them back together and put some wound care on them, and I didn't lose a single tree from old Moses, but yeah, old Moses, that guy. I had to save Moses's life. So the other sheep did fine in the other goats did fine in the electrical netting, but Moses was so dumb, for lack of a better word, that we had to stake him out so he would graze in a circle. And one afternoon, Moses was grazing in a circle, and he got kind of caught on something, and it caught his rope on his post, and he kept walking in a circle. That. And then he started, I was on the other side of the yard. It's a pretty big yard. And he started, and he was choking himself. He was turning blue. And I had to run across the yard and bad back and all and pick up this like stinking 150 50-pound goat and try to unravel him off of this T-post because he wasn't too smart. So we gave our goats away to really good friends of ours that have been doing a really and our friends rotationally grazed the goats and sold them all off and ended up buying some Greg Judy sheep. And now they just run sheep and they really love sheep, and they're really beautiful sheep. And so they took our goats, parlayed them, sold all the babies, and bought some Greg Judy sheep. So they have a lot of area to rotationally graze, and we do too. We just don't have, people talk to us all the time about rotational grazing. We're just in that season of life with the kids and with homeschool and their other interests and everything else, where we just don't have the time to do the rotational grazing. So, wow. The friends we gave them to never manage them properly and they kept breeding. They have been draining their finances for wow for a decade now. Yeah, and to me, I mean, I liked when we had the Nubians and we milked the Nubians. I like Nubian milk. I mean, I have a problem with it. I like A2 Jersey milk way better. But yeah, the worst thing is when you have a homestead animal that's that large and capital intensive because they're capital intensive unless you have the pasture and they'll stay on the pasture because it's capitally intensive to chase animals too. You know what I mean? Or time intensive to chase them if they won't stay in, and they're just kind of like a pain in the butt. But these people that make these animals pets, man, I just not this guy. I just can't do it. You know, says the guy that has a pony in his yard. The things we do for our family, though, yeah, you gotta. And our other horses do great at the ranch. So I have no idea why. I know why Gunner's here, and Gunner does a great job mowing the yard. So, so there's that. I always tell my, you always have to reason with yourself so that you stay sane. I guess, but bottle babies are of the devil. That is the big thing. I mean, you can definitely that was the sad thing about woke, man. I think Texas mom is like the animal expert, and I'm like the no expert at anything. I'm like the village idiot. But no, I wouldn't eat Gunner. Gunner's sweet. I ain't gonna eat the Gunner. He's a gooder, and he doesn't eat the trees, and he just eats the grass. He does a good job, but he's got a lady friend down the street, so he does look to escape just to go talk to his lady friend down the street, and she's like 3 times his size. So and she's in a fence. So, but when he escapes, he just runs down the street, and it was pretty cool getting to see my neighbor straight up like Wild Wild West lasso him and bring him back. That was pretty cool. I wanted him to lasso him on the side by side. That would be super Wild West. And I didn't have any video equipment to video it, but it was pretty cool. And I really am thankful for our neighbor. And he's got some roping skills. And I know my boys. He offered to teach my boys how to rope, and they're looking forward to that. But that won't be for probably in the fall once it cools off. Yep. So they're away trotting the globe, and I'm flying solo. So we haven't been on in a very long time. I figured I'd jump on, and I've already told you, like, if you've ordered an apron or any teas or anything like that, just be patient because they won't be shipping that stuff out until they get back. Um, and I want to welcome all the new natives to our native area, and I want to, if there's any patrons watching, We somehow, I thought we had turned the Patreon subscriptions off for new patrons. We want all of our patrons to we want all of our patrons to migrate over to our website um, for lots of reasons, but this way this way we're all in one spot. We don't have to manage. Um, Yo, Andrew, how you doing, boy? Um, this way we're all in one spot and you can get all the information in one place, and it's just one. The boys in Texas Mom have been dumping a ton of time into the website, and they continue to add new stuff. And that was more footage that got lost. Texas Mom has been like yard sale shopping, and she was putting uh, farmy kind of stuff on the website for sale. But something happened to that video, got deleted or erased or something. But that's the joys of YouTubing. So they're going to continue to keep adding to the website. They're going to keep adding to the recipes. So if you're into the whole our recipes and different things, and most of our stuff's gluten free, because Buddy is gluten intolerant. Dirtcoin has grown 16 eggs. Rip, what kind of eggs? Chicken eggs? Rip, are you running birds with trees? The first guy I ever saw do that, and that was before we moved, was Jack Spearco when he was running his ducks with the trees. And he doesn't run ducks like he used to, but um, I will tell you that the birds do, if they're smaller trees, the birds put a lot of pressure on the trees, and they like to try to roost in trees that they're just stupid chickens, like bigger than the tree, trying to. So, which I wouldn't have had that problem this year if it wasn't for the snowpocalypse. Um, all right, so you got them in an electric fence Premier One. Good, good. Yeah, and we ran with the Premier One for a lot, but once we put up a lot of hog panel, and we did a lot of cross fencing and whatnot. So we developed, designed hard areas. We're building our pasture next to the pond, and we have all of our Haas seed. We're going to be doing cover crop back there, and we're going to continue to develop that. And once we fence it, then we're definitely going to be utilizing that area. There'll probably be more. Matt did a ton of clearing on the other side of the pond, and he wants fruit trees back there. And probably what I'll do is I'll grow them out in pots until they're pretty large, and then we'll plant them back there, because I'm not going to want to water anything back there. And wow, did somebody? Everybody's leaving, so I didn't know if everybody thought I was checking out or cashing out or whatever. That was weird. It was like, so yeah, if we start planting trees on the back side of the pond, since I don't want to go back there and water them ever. One, they're going to be very drought tolerant, and two, I'm going to grow them out. What I did this year. Last year, a lot of my fig collection that was small and different stuff that I rooted, I planted it in the ground right away with a really good root. It had a really good root structure, but it was a really small tree, And I don't recommend that. Those trees kind of stay stunted, especially down here when it gets real hot. So now what I'm doing is I take my smaller tree and I put it in a 5-gallon pot. And then I bury the pot in the ground. I keep them up front. And then my 1-gallon pots, I keep them in kiddie pools. It's just way easier to water. You're not overwatering them. You're not underwatering them. I'm not watering any. I haven't watered, relatively speaking, I haven't really watered any of the trees that are in the buried 5-gallon pots. Because when you bury those black pots, if you leave them exposed sitting on the ground, the sun will just suck the moisture out of them. And when you bury them, you're just maintaining, all that moisture, and you won't have to. And then you can let that tree mature. I have four new variety mulberries that are definitely going to go in the back. Two of my two chestnut trees that were very mature totally died for no reason. So I had some Dunstan chestnuts because I wanted chestnuts for fodder and all that good stuff, and they totally croaked for some reason. So I have a Jan's dwarf, which I might keep the Jan's up here since it's a dwarf. Um, and then I got a Spain Noir and a lavender. I forget. I got three or four new mulberry trees that are going in the back. And I'm telling you what, and I know some people get all think that mulberries are disgusting for some reason. I love mulberries. All you have to do is get a white mulberry. I have a white beauty mulberry, and it is delicious, and you won't have to worry about the staining or whatever. White mulberries are just awesome. But I have lots of different mulberry trees, but they're such great animal fodder. Even the chickens love them. The sheep love them. It's just as far as like sustainability and energy, and you prune them, you hard prune them back, and they just go right back to growing. And many times, I'm testing it this year. If you hard prune a mulberry, it'll fruit again. And no, if you have an LSU fig, I'd let it rip right now. Now's just let it grow. Which LSU variety? Answer questions and talk about. I love fruit trees, and I love our simple life, and I want to encourage anybody to slow down and live a simple life. We were designed to live in simplicity, and we were designed to interact with nature. Gerald Anderson, how in the world are you, buddy? Where have you been? Have you been like a cat all around the world or what? And I can't believe that I still haven't ran into you. How are you doing, buddy? Where have you been? You're probably saying, where have you been? And you could rightfully say that, but working from home, well, that's the opposite of a cat. That's awesome. Good on you, buddy. Someday I'll work from home. I'm working on that. Apparently, Texas Mom has found the apron niche, y'all. So maybe I'll go into apron sales. I don't know. She has definitely found the niche on the, which that was my idea, by the way. We get so many requests for where she gets her aprons. I was like, you should really work that all out and start getting those. So she did. She's very industrious woman. Proverbs 31, very industrious. So, in between taking care of me, my feebleness, she's a has her. Yeah. So I was just telling everybody good night, Gerald. You just came on. I'll probably come back on. Maybe I don't know, one night this week if everything works out and it's cool. I like coming on at 8. I think more people are available at 8. With the kiddos, especially with the little ones, we just can't even come close to making it happen. They're all running around like crazy, and we're trying to get them down for bed or whatever at the 8 o'clock zone, even though a lot of times they don't get to bed till like 9 or 10. So feasible.